Hey, looks like we're live, man. Everybody, hey, hope you're doing well out there in the big world. Hope everybody's doing good and having a good August summer day. Welcome to our Facebook Live. I want to introduce to you guys Jaden.
Hey guys, I'm Jaden. I'm a salesman at GlasWeld. I started here senior year of high school. I got an offering from a buddy and came in to the warehouse. Got the job the next day. Worked in the warehouse for 2 years and then moved up to sales, and it's been great ever since.
Cool, thanks, Jaden. So Jaden's kind of followed a unique path. We figured we'd introduce everybody to him today. You've been in sales now for what? For a couple months?
Yeah, almost 2 months now.
Cool. And I remember when Jaden started back in the warehouse. Started with doing a little bit of everything, right? Like packing seals and
pumping resin, G-Clear,
doing a whole bunch of different things for us back there. But there was the one thing about Jaden you could always count on is that whether he's in the office selling or whether he was back in the warehouse building something, he was always dressed well. So it's great to have you with us, Jaden. Jaden, remind me what territory do you cover?
East Coast. So yeah, I cover the East Coast.
Awesome. Very good. Jaden, just well, first off, everybody out there in cyberspace, I hope everybody's doing well. Thank you so much for joining us for our Resin Awareness Month Facebook Live. We have some really great stuff ahead for you today. We're going to talk about some of the resin superpowers and how to educate yourself, understanding your resin a little bit better, and how that can lead to being able to distinguish yourself, set yourself apart from your customers. So we've got some good content coming for you on that subject. Jaden and I are going to talk about. Let us know you're joining us. Say hello. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear who's joining us today. Hey, Steve. Great to see you, man. It's been too long. Hope everybody is having a good day. Again, like Steve, say hello. Let us know you're doing okay and where you're from. And if you have any questions kind of as we go live, if we see those, we will definitely try to jump in and answer those for you. So, all right. Well, cool. Jaden, tell us a little bit about what did you enjoy most about working out in the warehouse?
Definitely working with the guys out there. We had a pretty strong bond. It was just a great time. I learned a lot in the warehouse, working with the other guys, as well as learning a lot about our products and how they work. So definitely just a lot of about our products.
Cool.
So.
And what about on the sales side? What do you enjoy about that?
Sales side, I would definitely say just getting comfortable with talking to more people and a lot of people every day, and just figuring out the problems people are having with any of our products and ways to overcome those.
Great. Yeah. Everybody appreciates some good helps and tips and things like that they can use in their day-to-day work. All right. Awesome. So let's jump on into, again, just let us know that you're joining us, where you're from, etc. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to talk about resin this month. We're going to talk about how to leverage using these bad boys, GlasWeld Gray or Amber, or even our clear or our pit filler, to help you distinguish yourself, make more money, and how to educate your customers as part of that process. Okay, so we mentioned at the outset, this is Resin Awareness Month. We've done this now, I think, 4 years in a row, maybe more, where in August we focus in on why resin matters, and that not all resin is the same. I think in every industry there tends to become products that are easy to take for granted as just being a part of your daily process. And so we want to take a month every year where we can zoom out and kind of dig a little bit deeper into some of the technical side of resin and what matters about it. With scientific formulas, there are big differences between different products on the market. And so we want to highlight some of those things. But even more than that, we want to help you guys to understand how that impacts your ability to set yourself apart with your customers, with your accounts. Again, so if you have any questions or want to say hello, please let us know that you're joining us. Jaden, you talk to a lot of customers. Tell me just a couple of things that you think that customers care about when it comes to resin.
Definitely quality of repair, as well as the integrity. How long is the repair going to last? What is it going to look like a few months down the road? That's definitely the biggest strong points with our resin.
Okay. Yeah. People care about that kind of stuff. So this month we're highlighting the 4 superpowers of GlasWeld resin. And so the first one that we are highlighting is clarity, strength, longevity, and then profitability. So we're going to do 2 Facebook Lives on this topic and dig a little bit deeper into each of those when it comes to GlasWeld resin, so you can understand that well and communicate that to your customer when the opportunity presents itself. So our goal here today is to educate you so you can set yourself apart, so you can make more money, so you can explain things to your customer, so you can use it in your marketing, you can use it on your website, you can use it to overcome price objections, you can use it to land new accounts, etc. The more you know about the products you use and why you use them, the better off you're going to be in being able to grow your business. And we have a lot of customers out there that use our product, and we want to make sure that they understand how to fully leverage being a GlasWeld customer to help grow their business. So let's talk about the 2 superpowers that we mentioned. The first is clarity, and then the second is strength. I think before we get into those, I think just kind of zooming out on why resin matters. Jen, you're a car guy, right? I know you're always working on your car.
Yep, definitely.
We have a lot of car aficionados here that work, especially the guys that work out in the warehouse.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know if any of you guys ever talked to Carlos. Carlos lives and breathes his baby. That beautiful little Mazda. He takes super good care of it. So, as an example, for those of us who are into cars, if you go to a mechanic and the mechanic has the best tools and he can rebuild an engine really quickly and really efficiently because he has great tools, but he rebuilds the engine and uses poor quality gaskets and poor quality parts. While he's able to do the work efficiently, what's the end result going to be?
It's not going to last long. Yeah, so it's definitely not worth it. It's not going to last long. You're going to have to do it again shortly. So that's the downside of it.
Exactly. So to use that illustration, when it applies to GlasWeld products, GlasWeld makes the best tools bar none. But even with the best tools, the stuff you put inside the repair matters immensely. It matters immensely to the strength. It matters immensely to the clarity. And so we want to talk about understanding those few things today. Travis, thanks for the shout out, man. We're really glad to have you on the team. And if you need any help at all getting things rolling, we're here to support you. All right. So getting into clarity. Now, clarity, what would you say that if you have a repair that looks good when you finish it, but maybe a couple weeks or a couple months later, you've seen some of the advanced weather testing images I've shown you before.
Yeah.
What can happen with a poor quality resin over time?
It can yellow, which is definitely very noticeable, as well as it can start to turn white, and which is also very noticeable and a terrible thing to happen. So yeah, definitely want the quality resin into the chips, or else things down the road can go really bad, like yellowing, turning white. So yeah, definitely the quality is an important thing when it comes to fixing chips and cracks. So yeah.
And we'll share some of those images. We've had in the past an old advanced weathering machine, and we do a lot of independent testing with our resins as well. We'll talk about in a minute. But one of the tests we've done was basically advanced exposure to UV, salt, and water, and some of the resins out there on the market, to Jaden's point. We call it chalking, where they turn almost like a chalk colored white, or they start to crack on the surface, or they turn, kind of a dark yellow. So the way your repair looks the day you finish it is the way it should look in 3 years. But not all resins can accomplish that. And I think that's just a really important point when it comes to clarity. The other thing that about clarity is that with some of the resins out there, as they start to break down, what can happen with a customer if they've seen you do a good repair, but then a couple weeks later starts to turn yellow. In your experience, what could happen there?
Definitely bad reviews on your half, which leads to less customers and less trust in your work as well as your products that you're using. So,
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Callbacks cost you money. They cost you reviews. So anytime that happens, it's not a good thing. So clarity really, really matters. Now, we talked about clarity. One of the things you mentioned to me earlier is like, what would you say is the most popular resin that you sell when people call it?
it would definitely be the gray resin for sure. Our tinted resin, just because most companies don't offer the tinted resin, so it's kind of something people kind of think it's unique, and it helps with the light refraction, which is definitely the key to having a clear chip repair. So yeah, I would say the gray is definitely the most popular when it comes to our products.
Yeah, I agree. And so what Jaden's talking about there is light refraction basically is how much reflection or light you pick up with your eye in like a tight leg. So if you've ever looked at a repair and you look up through the windshield and you see just like this sparkly effect, the gray resin helps to reduce that. So if you look at a clear resin compared to a gray resin from GlasWeld, you'll notice a little difference in how much you can pick up that shimmeriness. With the gray resin, your eye can sort of pick it up for like a split second and then it goes away. Whereas with the clear resin, it tends to pop a little bit more. So it helps to just absorb that light reflectivity and refractiveness, as we mentioned. Okay, so that kind of covers the gray. The amber is another one. We've talked about the amber as far as what it does. Again, this is all about clarity, because clarity is not just how it looks in 3 or 4 years. It's also how does it look from the very beginning, right? Because that's what a lot of customers care about. So understanding what the tinted resins do. We do get a lot of like new customers that want to try tinted resin that don't totally grasp what they're all about. Sometimes they think that we're trying to match the color of the windshield, but that's not the case at all. What we're trying to do is absorb. We all know how colors work, right? That our eye picks up light reflection and light refraction off of surfaces, and that communicates color to our brain. And so what the tinted resins do is they basically go about tricking your eye so that you see less of something. In the case of the gray, you see less of the reflectivity. In the case of the amber resin, they tend to cancel out that greenish cast that you can get in a lot of windshields, and therefore it reduces the visibility of it. So anyways, just something for you guys to be aware of on the clarity side. That's what the tinted resins are all about. GlasWeld resins will perform amazingly over a long period of time. So, if you do a repair with GlasWeld resin and you cap it with a high quality GlasWeld pit filler, it's going to last for years and years and years and years without cracking and yellowing and chalking and all those other things, which is really what it should do. All right, let's talk about strength. Jaden, why do you think that strength matters when it comes to windshield repair resin?
I'd say the number one thing would have to be safety and integrity in the windshield. So basically, if you ever were to get in a crash and you have bad resin, it could completely shatter the windshield, spread. And with our resin, it's the integrity is there for a long time, and it ensures that you have the safety in your windshield. So it's definitely some stress relief when it comes to the safety part. So yeah,
agreed. Yeah, I think there's some studies out there that show that the windshield provides about 45% of the structural integrity in front end collisions, and we know that the purpose of a windshield repair, even far beyond aesthetics, is to restore that structural integrity that is compromised when there's a rock chip. So using a high quality resin that performs and that has a higher level of tensile strength really, really matters. If you're in our email list, we sent out some test results, I think last night, right, in the email, if I remember correctly, that you guys can have access to. Those are independent tests done at an independent lab, not in our garage, done at an independent lab, comparing different resins on the market and doing what they call a tensile strength test, which is basically where they take 2 glass rods, They use the resin of choice. It's bonded together and cured, for I think like a lengthy period of time, just to make sure that it's got full cross linking on all the resins, as it would. And then they're pulled in a machine actually like this until they break, and they all break eventually. Either the glass breaks or the bond breaks, one of the two. And when that breaks, then they get a measurement on what sort of strength, what sort of pulling was required to break it, and then that measures the tensile strength. And so what the independent lab did is they measured the different resins on the market that we requested, and they compare the strength of them. And on average, our resin was 34% stronger than the other resins on the market. So that translates for you into a big deal when it comes to communicating with your customers. Understanding that 45% of the structural integrity in a front-end collision can be in the windshield, and as much as 65% in a rollover. Just communicating those things and then talking about the resin that you use can really set you apart and really can help overcome price objections as well. Like hypothetically, if you called me and said, hey, I want to get a windshield repair done, and I gave you my price, and I'm like, hey, it's $85, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, well, the guy down the street charges, $50, $58 or $59.95.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why are you $30 more? Well, my response to that could be, well, yeah, I understand there's a lot of people out there that do windshield repair, Jaden, but, I don't know if you're aware of this, but a rock chip in your windshield is compromising the structural integrity of your entire vehicle. And so how you get that repair done really matters. And what's used to repair it really matters. And I use the industry's best product for that. It's 34% stronger than other products out there. So yeah, I'm about $15 to $20 more than the average windshield repair. But, for most people, that's not much of a factor when they consider the safety of their families.
Yeah, I agree with that totally.
And I think most people would understand and accept that value. So there's just some tips that you can use when it comes to strength. Same arguments with clarity. You want a windshield repair that's going to look great, not just today, but 5 years from now. If you keep your car for a few years, it isn't going to yellow a few years down the road. Okay, so I think we've covered clarity, we've covered strength. It's important to understand those two things. They're not all the same. You want to avoid chalking, you want to avoid yellowing. You want a resin that's going to really hold up. One of the things we didn't really talk about, though, when it comes to strength, I'm sorry, I just popped into my head, was you mentioned to me earlier when we were just chatting, like you have a lot of customers that have like kind of extreme weather changes.
Yeah.
Right? Like cold weather, hot weather. Can you mention what you were mentioning about that earlier?
So definitely why the strength is important in the resin is because if you have a traumatic change in the weather or hot to cold or whatever it would be, it can spread across the whole windshield into a crack, and there's no safety left in that windshield. There's no integrity left in it. So definitely would recommend you investing the extra $5, $10 into the good resin. That way, you can have trust in your windshield. And, if you're in Texas and it's 100 degrees or something and you don't fix your chip and you wake up the next day and it's a huge crack across your windshield, now you got to replace your windshield. And, so it's definitely just more of a hassle instead of just having to pay the extra $5 to $10 on the quality resin.
Yeah. So dealing with your customers, that's just important to be aware of. And, like to Jaden's point, in some climates back east and like in Colorado, it can be 100 degrees during the day. It can drop to like 40 at night. And the amount of expansion and contraction that happens in the windshield is pretty dramatic. So that's where that tensile strength comes in, right? And the ability to hold with that expansion and contraction that happens in the windshield and not give way like some of the resins on the market might do. Well, I think that covers it. Just we wanted to give you guys some good talking points with your customers, some good stuff you can share on social media. We're going to be sharing this whole month images, PDFs, things like that you can use in your own marketing to help distinguish yourself as a GlasWeld customer. Again, 34% stronger than the leading competitors out there. Understanding the products you use and how to explain them really makes a big difference in your ability to distinguish yourself, especially with a new business or when you're trying to land new accounts. We want to remind you, everybody joining us, we have a sale going on resin this month, just in celebration of Resin Awareness Month. $10 off any bottle, 30 mil or 15 mil. So that's available to everybody. So it's a great time to stock up if you need to. On our next live, we're going to discuss longevity and profitability. So those are two also really important points to understand when it comes to resin. And we're going to give you some additional resources for marketing as well. So tune in for the next one as well. Quick shout out to Yancey. Thanks for joining us, man. I can't see too many other comments. The thing doesn't really scroll live, so it's hard to see everybody else who's on. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. Stay in the loop. Like our Facebook page. Follow us on Instagram. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, and comment preferably as well, so that you can keep up to date with the latest stuff. Also, stay tuned to our YouTube page, because about once a month we do additional video tips and training. We have a new one on there with 3 ways to use the new multi-tool, if you haven't seen that. Another one coming, we have a new basic training with the Zoom with some updated techniques that's coming out probably in the next few weeks. So every month we have new content that's coming out that keeps you up to date. So if you're not doing so already, follow our YouTube page, because unlike any of our competitors, we really keep the content flowing to try to give you guys the latest tips and tricks to make your work faster and easier, and to keep you on the cutting edge. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Jaden, for joining us. Appreciate your insights and your thoughts. Jaden's a great guy to work with. As you can see, super chill, super easy to be around. So I'm sure you guys will enjoy working with him if you call in or email or hit the chat or whatever. Hope everybody's having a good, successful week. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you probably next week or after for the next live on the other 2 topics. Take care, everybody.